Welcome into Patriot Sports, part of the Six Pack Coverage Network. This is Will Dundon here with Nick Trussell and Seth Coggin. Well, let's do it, boys. In case you missed it, the Nebraska Cornhuskers, my team, my favorite team, a team that I've cheered on since birth, a team that when I was born won the national championship, actually. They have fallen far from grace, and they did so again across the pond in Ireland. Started off strong. I was feeling really good, guys. That first drive, Casey Thompson,
great.
Awesome.
just knifing down the field, slashing, and then throws a bomb. Great throw and great contested catch. Touchdown. Go back down, march down again, get up 14-3 at one point. Get up 28-17 at one point. Then they go for an onside kick. Everything changes, and they never – well, I wouldn't even say everything changes, but they never really came back from that. That seemed like that's where the tides turned.
Yeah, that's a play, one of those plays in sports where it'd be very hard for you to argue against the factor that momentum can play, especially within a game, within a season. A season maybe not so much because great coaches, I think, can overturn that and kind of snap momentum.
Do we lose Seth?
I think we might have lost Seth.
Oh, no.
Well, I'm sure he'll be back.
Yeah, hopefully he comes back. We'll see.
I mean, Will, you need to keep talking about this because I have a couple of things to say, but I really just want to hear you talk right now. I know you got a lot to get off your chest.
Yeah, so, I mean, honestly, I'm kind of choosing to look on the bright side of things here. I'm taking the positives that I saw from the game and some of the negatives. So I thought the defense looked pretty terrible. I thought they got pushed out of the way a lot, pushed around a lot. And this is a defense that really carried us last year in games, or at least gave us the opportunity to win every game last year. And now here they are, just getting pushed around by Northwestern. That's something I hope to see improved upon, just because the amount of hype Husker fans have heard about this front seven and a proven front seven. Two linebackers that had 100 tackles apiece last year, a guy who led the team in sacks, tackles for loss, and hurries, and Garrett Nelson that came back, a guy in O'Shawn Mathis that was one of the top transfer portal guys in the country coming in from TCU to come rush off the ball. So that's got to get back to what people were expecting. I still honestly like the offense. We had a bunch of drops. Some people were complaining about, we had a couple receivers that Husker Twitter was kind of complaining about, like Wyatt Lever, who's a walk-on. But Wyatt Lever is a guy who's played multiple years in this program, made plays. I mean, yeah, he dropped the ball, but basically fans trying to say, oh, he shouldn't be in there at all. I don't agree with that at all. I mean, he's a solid player, and I've seen him make plenty of plays, score touchdowns. So I'm not in on that. I liked what I saw from Casey Thompson. But again, it was just the same movie that I've seen over and over again. And I'm not my thought process on it is I said 7 wins is the magic number. That's how Scott Frost keeps his job. So I'm not making a snap decision on this game. Yeah, it sucks and it really hurt, especially the day after. But everyone calling for his job and everything. I mean, yeah, if he doesn't improve, if we keep losing, yeah, he will get fired. But I'm not going to call for it right now when you play a team in Northwestern who's known for bouncing back year after year, a year after they have a terrible season, bouncing back and having a solid season. I don't know how good they're going to be. I thought they looked a lot better than I gave them credit for, definitely. I will say that. I don't think they're going to be the bottom of the Big Ten like I thought they may be. So that's something to keep an eye out for. But the weird thing is, outside of Michigan, everyone else you're going to play in Oklahoma, but everyone else in the Big Ten that you're going to play is going to be pretty similar. Iowa's going to be pretty similar. Good defense, good offensive line in the trenches. Wisconsin's going to be pretty similar. Minnesota, like those are your toughest games outside of Michigan and Oklahoma. So if nothing else, I mean, you got practice for it. I'm excited for them to just play a couple easier games. Hopefully there's no, knock on wood, hopefully there's no just complete collapses. But I don't know. You go 2-1 and then you have top 10 Oklahoma coming into town. So I'll tell you what,
if you go 3-1 and you beat Oklahoma,
it's a wash. It's better than a wash.
Yeah, you forget. Yeah, it's better than a wash. No, winning that game would be better. Like it's hard to say in the moment, kind of be like, oh well, this. But if you go 3-1 a month from now and you just beat Oklahoma, this will be so far forgotten, and you're right on track to. But it does make that game more important because if you're 2-2, even if you had beat Northwestern and you lose to Oklahoma, it's like, well, still 3-1, but that just puts, I don't know, it just puts, you kind of know where Frost sits. Like to say his seat got hotter is kind of, I mean,
It didn't
maybe
matter,
a little bit, but it didn't matter. It was going to be like at the end of the year, you're going to stay what his record is, and that's what he'll be judged on. So he still has a full season to kind of get that right. It is a little bit bummer. It takes probably the higher aspirations for Nebraska out of, like, I truly thought, and part of it's because I want to think and believe so, but I projected them to win the Big Ten West, and a loss like this probably puts them. It doesn't take them out of the hunt because crazy things can happen, but it really hurts their chances of actually making some serious noise. Like and 8-4 still on the table? Absolutely. Like with the way their schedule sets up and the way the breaks, and because they looked good. Like last year, Nebraska's team looked awful. Like they lost to Illinois in that first, not because Illinois played good or anything. Like Nebraska just looked bad.
I agree. Yeah,
ugly to
Continuously
watch.
shot themselves
Like,
in the
this
foot.
team looked good and showed spurts. Like the offense was impressive. I thought Casey Thompson looked pretty good. I thought he looked a lot better than I've seen a Nebraska quarterback look, honestly, in a while. Just like from some aspects.
the best, honestly, the best pure passer I've seen.
Yeah.
Almost in my lifetime at Nebraska, which obviously there hasn't been many, but yeah.
So that's a really big positive. Northwestern did play good. They were obviously prepared. And the first week is so hard anyway. Like, the first week is so hard. And then you throw in the fact that you're in Ireland versus a conference opponent. I mean, Pat Fitzgerald's been there a long time. Like, if any program has stability, it's Northwestern is a program that stands on its own. Like, they're not. They're never a true elite national threat typically, but they put some really good teams together. And Pat Fitzgerald's a good coach and can have them ready to go for a week 1 game like that. And they played really good. They made a few less mistakes. Nebraska had a few chances to even put on a few more scores. I felt like, I know that one fumble was tough about on the 10-yard line, because I mean they were rolling pretty good at that point. Your offense punches one in there, get points there, and I believe they had another turnover in where they were kind of driving and just I can't think.
Yeah, there were a couple picks that were honestly, Casey Thompson threw 2 picks, and honestly, I thought both of them were the receiver's fault. Like one of them straight up went off a guy's hands, and another one, it was like the guy didn't really go for the ball almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I agree, the fumble was a bad break. I think Husker fans though aren't even upset about that. I think they're like, we want to be to the point where we can get past a bad break.
Yeah.
So that's something to look at. But yeah, I mean, some bad luck. But Seth, I'm with you. Like, I saw enough things where it was at least like we played a good game. I mean, there were mistakes, and that's why you lost. But Northwestern played a good game too. It wasn't like
they played a good game and they made less mistakes and they won. That's a conference opponent. It's not like we just lost this throwaway game to someone. Like, you straight up went out against a conference team who played well. You put some pretty good things out there, and some things definitely, I mean, still plenty of room to improve, but it wasn't just like you lost 13-17 and like it was disgusting and the offense looked just pathetic and it was pretty much a throw in the towel. Like, I'd watch that team play more games. I think they could do pretty good. I don't see any reason why they can't have some pretty good success and build that up. And I'm telling you, Oklahoma's susceptible. Like, you get that win and things change. That season's right back on its feet.
Well, and it's at least kind of like Nebraska's somewhat battle tested before that game. I don't even know who Oklahoma plays. Maybe they play someone kind of decent.
You not only do you have an extra game, you also have a conference game too. So that's definitely is something to think about. Hey, it's week 0, man. We haven't even got to week 1. Let's just slate clean.
Yeah, it didn't even count. It was week 0.
It would be nice.
It wasn't even in America.
You were just it's like a fever dream. It was in Ireland.
I will say this: and we can talk a little more about it or move on. But so Nebraska's got North Dakota. That is North Dakota, not North Dakota State, for all those wondering. And then Georgia Southern. Don't sleep on Clay Helton, I guess. But let's say Nebraska wins those two. Let's say they lose to Oklahoma. They're 2-2. I will say this, Seth, you mentioned it. The schedule, I mean, 2-2, you play Indiana and Rutgers after that. So what I'm thinking too, if I'm being a little more on the pessimistic side, saying Nebraska loses to Oklahoma, they're 2-2. You just have to win those next two, that Indiana and Rutgers, be 4-2. 4-2, there's a lot of possibilities on the table at that point still. You know,
4-2, you're tracking for 8-4, just right on the dot.
Well, and it's like even after Indiana, Rutgers, you play Purdue, you play Illinois, Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa. So that stretch of Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, that's going to be tough. But ideally, you're bowl eligible by that time. I mean, that would take what, 4 out of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4,
4-2, and everything's on the table.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna, even if they lose to Oklahoma, I'm not gonna be freaking out. But hey, let's beat Oklahoma. Why not?
That's what I'm saying. You don't get that many chances at home, like against us. This is the most instability Oklahoma's had in a while. Like early on in a season, new head coach who's a different head coach.
Yeah, all defense
programs. Like, yeah, he might be a good head coach, but he's trying to switch the trajectory of the program. Mm-hmm. Like for 4 years, you've been recruiting to this offensive just juggernaut. You know, their defense has been terrible. And that's because a lot of it's because they prioritized offensive talent. And so now when you try to flip that script, it's not that easy to just instill a great defense. Like it takes time building up a depth of a lot of elite talent, especially on like the D line, the linebackers and stuff like that. So, you know, it's not going to immediately happen overnight that they just become a defensive juggernaut. So, and now you're kind of losing that offensive mindedness, which really won you a lot of games. So I'm just saying it's hard to switch the trajectory of the system of a program, because I watched it happen several times at Arkansas when it was like we went from Bobby Petrino, just offensive, like I said, just prioritizing offensive talent, to this was a little different because maybe this wasn't offensive versus defensive, but we were really pass heavy. Well, all of a sudden we got Brett Bielema, and he just wants to run down your throat. Right. Well, it takes a long time to get good interior linemen in there who can block really well and good, good running backs and stuff. I think it's just hard to change a system with any coach. And Venables is a first-time head coach. I'm just saying, I don't know. Clemson's defense has even been on the decline the last 3 years. Like, what's he really done that impressive recently? Like, I don't know. I don't buy him as a coach, I guess. And so really that's my end trajectory on him. And so I'm thinking right now is a great time to go ahead and beat him, because he'll be solid. Like Oklahoma's probably going to still be pretty good. They're like, they have maintained a pretty high level of success through different coaches, but I just think they'll take a step back with Venables. So why not beat them now?
Well, it's interesting too, as we mentioned, that game is at Nebraska and it's an 11 a.m. game. You know, that's just kind of 11 a.m. games are funky a lot of times.
That's prime for beatdown.
Yeah.
Or not a beatdown, but an upset.
Right. And it looks like Oklahoma plays UTEP and Kent State before
they'll have a new quarterback. I don't know who's going to be their quarterback.
I think Dylan Gabriel from UCF. Yeah.
So
he's pretty battle tested.
I was going to say, I like Dylan Gabriel, but it's a different ball game. I think his offensive coordinator is there. So I guess he's probably running the same system, but still different school.
Yeah. Very different.
And something that I wanted to float here, and I was talking about it earlier. Let's say Nebraska does really plummet from here. Scott Frost is gone. We're searching for a new head coach. And there was a man that was fired down in Florida, Jacksonville.
Never been fired in college, though.
Never been fired in college. Always stepped away. Mr. Urban Meyer. Could we see him make an appearance in Nebraska if Scott Frost truly does blow up here? I mean, would you take that, Will?
I would hire Urban Meyer in 2 seconds.
Yeah,
But
I said the same thing.
Trev Alberts, the AD, will not hire Urban. But personally, yeah, I don't give a shit. Like, let's hire Urban and win some games. Like that would be totally fine with me. That being said, I hope Frost gets the job done. But hey, actually, let's dive into this a little bit. I think some names on my short list.
Oh, I like this. Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking Luke Fickell would be a great one.
Oh,
that'd be a great
dude. He
hire.
just signed a new $5 million a year contract for the next 6 years or something at Cincy. Not saying it couldn't be undone, but
I mean,
that's I just read that today because I was doing a little Cincy preview for myself.
Yeah, since they're playing Arkansas.
Oh, right.
And he just got a big old extension there at Cincy.
Yeah, I don't know how that would play out.
Would be sick. Would be awesome.
We pay him more.
Yeah.
Like we will, like if that's what it took, we would just pay him 6 or 7, honestly, if we really thought we could get it done. Because I know the Frost buyout gets cut in half, I think October 1st or November 1st.
So he's making it. It's going to get fired November 2nd.
Maybe, but the thing about it is there's no shortage of money. Like that's what we love to talk about, all these like coaches getting paid and stuff. Honestly, there's no shortage of money there, especially when the buyout gets cut in half. A lot of Husker fans go with Matt Campbell. I don't want Matt Campbell. I think he's fine. I heard him give a very Butch Jones answer to a question when they asked him about last year, if his goal. They asked him about failing to win the Big 12 or something, like not reaching that goal. And he gave him the answer that was never his goal. His goal was to be the best team they could possibly be. And I was like, all right, bro, come on. I was like, it was a very, like, you have to also just watch the interview to really get the gist of it. But I think Matt Campbell's fine. I think he's well suited for Iowa State. I don't see him cutting it at a Nebraska. I mean, people like him because it's like Midwesterner guy type thing and they want him over there. I don't want Matt Campbell. I would go with Jamie Chadwell probably from Coastal Carolina if you're going to go like lower level route. I think he'd be fun to watch or fun to bring in. And then I don't really know after that. I haven't thought about it a whole lot. I think Fickell would probably be that first guy that I would want. But like you said, Seth, that would be kind of tough to run into that. But I hope, like seriously, I truly hope it doesn't get to that point. We'll see though. I mean, if it comes to that point, it comes to that point. So
yeah, the point's not like it's not there yet, but the point is we're talking about it. We've started compiling lists of who might replace him. So that's never a great spot for a coach to be, unless you're like Nick Saban. It's like, well, who might possibly replace him, like when he dies?
Yeah. Is Saban even going to retire, or will he coach until he dies?
I think he'll coach, not until he dies, but think
until he's on his deathbed.
He will die within 36 months of being a head coach. So that gives him a few years. Like he may hang on a few years after that, but I think he's pretty much will be gone. In 2030, dude, he's going to be what, like 82?
Yeah, I mean, he's over 70.
Yeah.
So
how does he get?
So
I guess he doesn't really have to be the locker room guy anymore. But
our butt, it's gonna make me just so depressed.
Well, it depends too if he kind of goes like Joe Pa and starts losing it a little bit, where he's like he's not like really coaching all the way anymore. You know,
right.
That's the only way they would decline. But I think he wouldn't get to that point. He would retire before he got to that point.
That's not Saban.
No.
The minute he can't be himself, I think he will give it up. But I think he can still be a good. He's so good. He's even getting better. See, that's like the scary thing. It's like he is kind of
he's adapting. Like a guy you think would not adapt, he's adapting.
That's been his actual greatest asset, is the way he's been able to adapt. No, not many. Oh man, it changes the dynamics change so much faster. Well, just think about back in the day, offenses were the same year after year after year after year after year. And like they changed maybe a while, but you didn't have all the film that you have today. Like you couldn't watch, like a college coach could legitimately sit and watch, a full slate of games on a Saturday, or watch the development of the game changes so much faster these days. Like, offenses develop and adapt and change so much faster than they did back in the day, where you have coaches in place that are running the same wing T offense. Yeah, it's not hard to dominate in an era where everyone ran the same things for a while, to truly adapt. Like, he's won at true pro style, run it down your throat. Like, we are just going to control the clock, have a game manager, to like having Heisman winning quarterbacks who are throwing for so many yards and just running a spread out. Like, he's adapted. Oh, it's crazy. And it helps when you have the best players. Like, it does help. Your offenses always look better. Your defenses look better when you have the best players.
Yeah.
But that's a huge part of college coaching, which he's been able to stay on top of. And he found out the best way to recruit is to win. That has become his greatest asset, is like, no, if you come to Alabama, you will win. Like, in the time that you're gone, you'll probably win at least one, if not more, national championships. Because pretty much everyone that's come through in a 3 or 4 year span has won at least one, right? Like, no one comes and has left empty-handed. And it's unfortunate. It gets me riled. Like, I respect Saban, and actually, as someone who wants to be a coach, like, I look up to, I truly respect like the greatness he's been able to instill for a long time, and the way he has run a program, and the way he has developed players and all this kind of stuff. He has developed coaches and players aplenty. So I respect that. But he happens to be at a rival, and it is just so sickening to have to watch that over and over and over again. So I respect him tremendously, but also cannot wait till he's done. But then he just signs another contract extension to get him there till 2030. Like, I can't even foresee 8 years down the road. Who knows what my life will look like? And Nick Saban's still gonna be the coach at Alabama. That makes me sick. That makes me sick.
We'll literally be on our 30s. That's scary. When did he get there? 06?
06.
That's ridiculous. I mean,
actually, now that I think about it, that's not even going to be 30 years at one school. He wasn't a spring chicken when he got there, but still, I think of great coaches. There usually are at schools, I guess, for quite a while.
Right. But it seems like, I don't know. And obviously we're pretty young when he was at Michigan State and LSU, but Saban just seems like he's been at Alabama for so freaking long. And I'm so ready for him to go.
Yeah, it's probably the winning.
Yeah, the winning makes it feel probably twice as long. And God. But I did want to talk about real quick, if you guys are done with Saban, our prediction about Vanderbilt Hawaii was a little bit off.
It looked good at first, though.
It looked good right at the beginning.
But the more I read about it,
Hawaii's terrible.
They are the worst.
That's one thing we did not prognosticate.
Yeah, see, if we had actually done more research and seen online that Hawaii is probably the worst football program in FBS this year, they've basically blown everything up and are starting from complete scratch.
To be fair, like, how different is that than Vandy, though? Honestly, like,
Clark Lee, he's a cornerstone of that program right there, baby. They're going to be winning natties. I don't know what you're talking about.
I do like Clark Lee, honestly. I know what you're referencing, Trushell, but yeah.
So, but
what was the final score?
It was
63-10.
I know that they scored like 35 points in the third quarter. That's pretty awesome.
They were down 7-0 and then went on a 63-3 run.
I stopped watching and it was 7-0 because I had to do something else, but and I was like, oh man, Hawaii's in this thing. And then I did see the score a little bit later and it was like, oh,
never mind.
We were a little bit wrong. It felt right for a minute. It was like, you know what? Picking Hawaii to win at Hawaii versus Vanderbilt was definitely the right call.
But yeah, Vegas was correct on that one in turn because it got all the way up to Vandy minus 10.5. So the public was on it. Vegas was
everyone
on it.
Everyone was on Hawaii.
Everyone was on Vandy.
Oh wait, they were, I guess.
Yeah, because it opened up at like -5.5, got all the way
Yeah,
to like
so yeah,
10
I
and a
guess they all
half.
kept betting on Vandy, and it got hot. That's crazy. How did it happen? I guess all the money was probably coming in on Vandy, but there had to have been. I wonder what the picks looked like.
I mean, I from what I read, most people knew Hawaii was going to be really, really, really bad this year.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, this is just me talking to people, I guess. But I mean, like I'm in Nashville, so like, and the fact that they were all just like, there's no way Vandy can like win by double digits against anyone. Like this is a team that beat UConn by 1 last year. You know,
They
Yeah,
lost
I think
to
that was the
ETSU.
bigger. Yeah, that was the bigger testament. It was just I have absolutely zero faith in Vandy. That was what those picks were for us. It was like, look, I don't think Vandy can beat anyone, much less go to Hawaii and win on the road at Hawaii. Like, I don't think. Yeah, they can't beat. They get blown out by ETSU at home in Nashville. You think they're gonna go on the road all the way to Hawaii? Well, they proved us wrong, and you know what?
congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should have bet the over for Vandy now that.
Yeah,
Is
looking
that
back on it,
enough
I
to
wish I put my
overreact
entire
to?
life savings on.
But their over was so.
Oh, the over on win totals. Yeah, it was what 2.5.
Yep.
Is it 2.5? See, they're already
So
a third of the way there. All you need is 2 more.
They're
think the
gonna.
next two are
I
gonna be
bet
a
you
little
they're gonna
tougher to
win
come
4
by.
or 5 games. They're gonna win.
I
4
bet
or 5
they'll.
games.
Yeah, why not?
It comes down to the like. I still don't think they're beating anyone in the SEC. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll beat like South Mizzou. Mizzou could be a win.
Kentucky, dude. No one's. They're not that good. Anyone's susceptible.
Yeah, I guess so. But like, no, but what I'm thinking too is like Northern Illinois and Wake Forest aren't going to be games that you can just chalk up as wins in the non-con.
true.
Elon, I would think Elon you can chalk up as a win.
See,
So
but then
there's
they just
two.
got to beat one of. They can. I mean, they looked good enough to beat NIU at home.
Yeah,
I don't
would think
know.
so.
I don't know what NIU looks like because I mean, just because I know.
Yeah,
NIU
they've been up and down. Like they have had some pretty good teams, but they've also had some like, bad teams.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'd say they hit the over at this point. But
It's
I mean, they
looking good.
looked good. I mean, they scored 63 points on a real team, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean Vanderbilt is atop of the SEC right now.
Yep. 1-0.
Want to know they're the only
Better
SEC
than the
team.
Huskers. No offense.
So-
Sorry, Will.
It's true. No, you're right.
Yeah,
I wish the Huskers had gone to Hawaii and won by 63 points.
that would have been great.
Dang, I would have really loved to play to Hawaii.
And
honestly.
Vandy versus Northwestern in Ireland. See, that seems awesome.
Purple
Sounds
Vandy
better.
versus real Vandy.
Shout out Husker Nation, though. Painted it a sea of red up there in Dublin. That was an impressive performance from the Husker faithful, rewarded with free beer. And
Yeah,
then,
That
they
was
all got free
hilarious.
beer. That was awesome.
and then just absolutely gut punch. How bad do you feel if you're a Nebraska fan who got absolutely hammered on free beer? You lose the game, sucker punch to the gut. Then you got to take like a 15-hour cross transatlantic flight hungover straight to the dome right after that. Like that is miserable. If you win, you take it all in stride, I think, but you go over there and lose that game, and that's just hellish to try and find your way home.
Yeah, thank God I didn't go now.
Yeah.
I would have been that would have broken me
I mean,
like pretty
if you
pretty bad.
Sitting in the
Drop-
airport the next day, you're just dead.
Yeah.
lifeless.
Literally, yeah. I don't know. Like just the whole process of that afterwards would have really, I don't know what I would have done.
That's what. See, you take an L at home at Lincoln Memorial. You know, you walk to your house, you go home, you sleep it off in your own bed. You're comfy. You turn on some other college football for comfort, and then you know you bounce back. You know, losses happen all the time. We've taken our fair share of losses over the years, but to take an L across the Atlantic Ocean is a special kind of brutal.
Yeah, that's bad. I would not have fun with that. What do we think about
We
the
need to talk to a
Vols?
few. We need to talk to a few Nebraska fans who made the trip. Just like
I
what was
mean,
it like?
I wonder-
What was it like the next day when every person on the same flight was a Nebraska fan who was just pissed.
This is going to be, people who win it'll be the moment where they're either like, yeah, I remember right before when we knew Frost was not the guy for sure. I was in Ireland. I was there. Or when they're playing the 30 for 30 about Scott Frost's immaculate comeback, they'll be like, this was the turning point. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
The final loss. What if he never loses again?
That would be awesome.
I would endure that. That would be the only way I would be able to endure that kind of loss, is if like it turned around and it was the last one and there was never another one. It's like, all right, I suffered through it and now
we got that out of the way. Yeah, it looks like there was 13,000 American fans that made the trip overseas. So that includes Northwestern fans as well. But I'm assuming that is a lot more Nebraska fans than Northwestern fans.
Well,
Probably 12 to 1, I'd say at least.
I think 10,000 Nebraska fans were there. So the 3 were Northwestern, I guess. Or some scattered people who just
wanted to go to Ireland.
Wanted to go to Ireland and
football game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I bet it was like 1,000 were just kind of random college football fans. 2,000 were Northwestern. 10,000 were Nebraska fans, if I had to guess. But yeah, I mean, we still got a lot of fun college football to look up to.
1 weekend and we're already on doomsday scenarios.
Yeah,
but I mean, we're not even 1 weekend. We're 0 week 0.
We're 0 weeks in,
and it's already dark days here. The
I'm
podcast
excited.
had so much hope, but hopefully the Hogs and the Vols and the Huskers still plenty of time. But
10+ wins is still on the table for the parlay. I'm just saying.
Oh, that did put a dent in that.
Oh
parlay.
yeah, I didn't even.
It just changes things. If they could have started off 3-0, you're like dang, almost a third of the way there. Like
I had taken out some big loans too. I'm counting on this. I was counting on this parlay. I had already cashed it in.
That would have been.
Imagine being like,
cashed
yeah,
it in
no,
ahead of
I've got Nebraska, Arkansas, and Tennessee all winning 10 games. It's a lock. Don't worry about it. Someone like you owe someone just thousands of dollars. Be
Yeah.
like, no, don't worry about it. I'll get it to you in December. Like seriously.
This is the biggest lock ever.
Yeah,
I'm good for it.
These 3 programs that haven't won 10 games collected between them in 10+ years. Yeah, it's a lock. Well, the Vols will get us started off early. Let's hear a little.
Ball State.
What we thinking?
I think it's
honestly,
up to 33.5, right? Vols.
I think honestly, you take the Vols. Am I wrong?
I mean, because just looking at last year and with what we did against teams like South Carolina, Missouri, we ran up the scores, like did not slow down for 1 second. And I don't think Heupel is going to change anything about that. So, yeah, I could see beating Ball State by 50, 60 points for sure.
Well, I think the main thing is I don't think you really ever stop passing the ball. Like if anything, you just throw Joe Milton in, and then if anything after that, you throw Taven Jackson in, who I actually think will do pretty well if he goes in. I'd like to see him.
I'd like to see Taven Jackson too.
I think that's something
he's
I
the
would
guy
look
of the
forward
future
to.
for sure.
Right? I mean, I think Heupel really likes him. That was his first guy, right? That he got to commit.
Mhm.
So, and it'll be interesting to see because that change, you got a whole big thing with him. And whenever Nico comes in, it's like, what's going to happen? So, yeah, excited to see. Hopefully Taven plays. Hopefully our alma mater, Walker Merrill coming out of Brentwood. I hope I get to see
that's
him
right.
play.
So he's actually, I was looking at the depth chart and he might start this year.
Yeah, it's him and Brew McCoy.
That is crazy. Walker Merrill could be starting for the Vols, former Bruin.
I mean, he was a
shout out
4-star.
program.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was good. And I know he was stuck between Auburn and Tennessee, right? Were those his two kind of choices?
Yeah, but I think he was also thinking about like Ole Miss and Vandy as well.
Yeah. I mean, he made the right choice though. And I mean, he's going to be competing for national championships. So it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, good for him.
And
but yeah, I mean, that'd be cool to see him like take one to the house for sure. I saw him. I remember I went to the Tech game last year, the Tennessee Tech game, and he caught a couple balls. So I was like, okay, there we go.
Yeah, he's getting his feet under him. And I think honestly, the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to that maybe not everyone is. We've got a lot of returning guys and some big dudes on the offensive line. And that's kind of been the talking point a little bit of people, or maybe it's just Vol Twitter being pessimistic. I honestly think our O-line is going to be a lot better than people expect. And obviously the biggest question mark is going to be the front seven on the defense. We're not super deep really on the D line or at the linebacker position. We've got some pretty good big names up there, but not super deep. So that makes me a little bit nervous. Secondary should be fine. I think, honestly, returning a lot of starters throughout the secondary. And we've really recruited well at the cornerback position recently too. So looking forward to just see what Tim Banks can do with this defense. And hopefully we're not giving up 30, 40 points a game anymore to some of these really good SEC teams. And just let the offense do the talking after that. But yeah, and then we've also got, we just lost Seth again. Unfortunately, I was about to just ask him about Arkansas and Cincinnati. That's
well, what we
be,
could do is I was going to go through maybe there's a couple other Thursday night games, honestly. Pitt and West Virginia play. What do they call that? Like, is it the backyard brawl?
Something like that. Yeah, it's some kind of, let me see.
I think that's one to look out for because Pitt being ranked 17th, I assume they're favored. I'd watch out for West Virginia and JT Daniels, honestly, to be able to pull off the upset.
Backyard brawl. You're right.
Yeah, on a Thursday night game one, like I could see West Virginia, even though they haven't been very good recently, coming in and making that a good game. Also, you have Penn State and Purdue, another good one. So Thursday night, gonna have a little action. That'll be fun.
I'm really excited for this Thursday. I mean, we're fully into the college football season now. We are rocking and rolling, you could say. I'm interested in since you're mentioning the backyard brawl here. I'm interested to see how Pitt does because obviously Tennessee has to go up to Pitt this year and play, I guess, a pretty good, a very, very good defensive line. And it seems like Pitt always has a good defensive line. They routinely have some big boys up front, but their offense probably isn't going to be as good in terms of the quarterback position, but we'll see. I mean, Pitt's been pretty good recently. I chalked it up as an automatic loss, automatic win, automatic loss for the Panthers last year. And look how that turned out. Did not turn out well in my favor. If Hendon Hooker would have started that game, and I know we probably talked about this on 4 or 5 different episodes, but it always kind of comes back just because you and I were both at that game and it was frustrating as could be. But either way, I'm excited to get that revenge, and it's going to be good to see Pitt get tested here. See who we're going up against when we play them.
Another game too, and I think y'all two might be in the select few that might agree with me on this. You might not agree with me, but I mean that Oregon Georgia game. I mean, if we're talking natty hangover, this is where it could start.
Yeah, see,
I think it could start.
Unfortunately, I believe in the natty hangover. So yes, I would agree that there might be susceptible, but I think it's going to be one of those hangovers that maybe you don't feel it right away in the morning. It almost sneaks up on you. It's like I wake up in the morning.
They're still a little drunk.
I'm still rolling. Yeah. It's still around. I think I may have just avoided it, and everything's gonna go swimmingly all day. But turns out it's just. Yeah, it's still a little rollover from the night before. They're going to win tomorrow just because they still kind of got, they still kind of got that swagger. They still kind of got that. They still got the natty buzz going on. There we go. I like that. But then I think it's going to
South Carolina.
It's going to hit. Is that what's that?
Week 3. So they play Oregon, Samford, and then South Carolina.
See, I think that's when around there it could start rolling in, and then it could hit kind of heavy for a few weeks. Like, you could drop, I don't know what their schedule looks like, but
you're like 4-2
somewhere in there. Yeah. Somewhere in there, you're 4-2. And all of a sudden it's like, what happened?
Another team.
Yeah. Just an absolute. So that's that's kind of I like where your head's at. I do agree. It's natty hangover season for Georgia. They haven't won one in 40 years. Like Alabama can kind of act like they've been there before because they have been. Like they can just kind of, and they're running in different people and they expect to compete again. And while Georgia kind of expects it, I think that
They're kind of happy where they are.
I think it's hard. It's
They
hard
did
to keep that
everything they
dog,
needed to
man.
do.
It's hard to keep that dog. And that's what matters so much. I think you get knocked off. See, that's what I think. You kind of are riding fine until you lose the first one. And then it kind of jumps into a dangerous situation where it's like, oh, then you just, I don't know. I think they are susceptible to the late hitting natty hangover. And I think it could be a doozy where it's something that they avoid at first, think they're out of the woods. And then all of a sudden it just is an absolute backbreaker. I don't even know what kind of food you're ordering. You're in bed. You're just sick as a dog. You're sick as a Georgia Bulldog. And, but I think they get past Oregon. Oregon first year head coach too. Just kind of
coming from Georgia.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Dan Lanning.
We'll see.
I will say, I think Oregon covers. I think it spreads at 17.5.
It's pretty high. Yeah. I could see them covering.
I mean, not that, I don't really know what to think of Oregon. Like Bo Nix is playing quarterback. So yeah.
He has played SEC defenses at least before. Yeah. He can make some plays if the offense is right.
I know it'll be weird just to see what that looks like. Bo Nix at Oregon still just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that does not add up in my brain. That I've even known that. I've heard that multiple times, and every time I hear it, I'm like, whoa, that's
not right.
He's so ingrained as an Auburn starter. I mean, he's played quarterback at Auburn for seemingly forever.
And his dad was a legend at Auburn as well, Pat Nix. So they're just kind of an Auburn family.
Yeah, but where is that game, Will?
Atlanta.
It is in Atlanta. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Nah, see, I think definitely.
Yeah, the Chick-fil-A
in Atlanta,
kickoff.
the dogs will be natty buzzing, and then
because
they're going
is
to
that
come
technically
around.
Considered a neutral site?
Yeah, technically.
Most unneutral site of
it's
all.
not going to be very neutral in terms of fans. Yeah, Georgia is going to travel well.
And then I think we can
right down the road.
Yeah. Then obviously there's a big game going on in the Dub.
That's right. Thanks for using that title. We're really kind of trying to grow its
I think you should.
Its usage. It's pretty good. It's not a bad nickname. I'm shocked I didn't come up with it sooner. Yeah, big time ranked matchup at home to start the season. That's about all you can ask for, honestly, against a former playoff team. The Razorbacks, for the first time in a long time, have not that they have like national championship expectation from people outside of myself, but they have legitimate expectation and a little bit of shot, a little bit of target on their back for the first time in a while. Projected to finish anywhere second to third in like the West, which means you're a pretty dang good football team. If you can do something like that. So Cincinnati will come to town. They had 9 players drafted from Cincinnati last year, which shout out to Cincinnati. That's pretty impressive for a non-Power 5 program to have 9 draft picks. But that means they are replacing a lot of the top talent that got them to the playoff last year. To go along with replacing your star quarterback, because quarterbacks like Desmond Ridder don't come around that often. Like a program doesn't have. You just don't have great quarterbacks, unless you're Oklahoma just reeling out Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks there a second ago. But you don't have guys like Desmond Ridder. For a team that is going through a serious rebuild, who does not have an established quarterback, week 1 on the road against Arkansas, with an excited Razorback crowd, is just not a great place to try and build any kind of they have so many unknowns to try and make that work week 1 on the road in a hostile SEC environment versus a Razorback team that has got quite a bit of continuity. Like that's the thing too. It's literally like we have an established quarterback. We returned 4 out of 5 of our starting linemen. I've been trying to prepare people for this. Arkansas led the Power 5 in rushing last year. they returned 4 out of 5 starting offensive linemen, and they returned 4 out of the 5 leading rushers, including our star quarterback in KJ. Like, this is an offense. People talk about losing Treylon Burks, and that is a big loss. Now it's kind of like a not addition by subtraction thing, because he was fantastic and we needed him to fill a lot of glaring holes. But I think the wide receiver room as a whole is improved. We've kind of talked about that with the Titans lately. Is like, yeah, you had a stud in AJ Brown, a solidified stud, but after them, I mean, yeah, Julio Jones is a great name, but he was pretty non-existent last year as a Titan. And so, like, other than, now you just have more. You have more as a totality of a wide receiving core than you have in one stud player. Anyway, so just a lot of continuity on the Razorback offense. And I think that rushing it, like, to me, a rushing attack is a lot easier to have, like, fairly polished in week 1, where it's like, no, we're just going to kind of maul the other team. Like, I don't need anything fancy. I don't need to have my offense like perfectly timed, like I don't need to be perfectly well oiled to just run the ball down your throat for 4 quarters and control the ball and just knock your teeth in. And that's what I hope, and I do kind of anticipate, because I watched it happen to a lot of teams. Like, I watched Arkansas absolutely steamroll Penn State. Like, by the 4th quarter, they were averaging 7, 8, 9 yards a carry. Like, that every time you touch the ball, you're getting over 6 yards. You are wearing down a defense. Like, and so I just think that with not even lack of depth, but lack of experience depth at Cincinnati is going to come into play, especially as we kind of wear on into the second half, 4th quarter, when the Hogs should hopefully just power rush the crap out of them, and then throw maybe a few deep bombs to really open it up over top. And, I fully expect the Razorbacks to come on top. They are favored by about a touchdown. So, I mean, it's kind of predicted that they win the game, but I see it as even a little bit bigger advantage than that, but we have been wrong before. But I'm trying to think about it logically and, like, actually what I've seen with my own eyes. And we'll just say this, we'll compare it to this. Even at the last season, Arkansas's last regular season game, we lost by 1 touchdown at Alabama, 35-42. Close game. They were ahead most of the game, but a very close game, like hotly contested, on the road. They're playing to get into it's not like they're playing for nothing too. Like, they're playing to stay in the national championship picture. And Cincinnati plays Alabama a few weeks later and loses by, several like they lost by 21 or something like that. And, it was obviously pretty decent gap between the two teams. And then Cincinnati loses all these players and Arkansas stays pretty continuous and returns a lot of the same, at least on offense. And we should be pretty solid on defense as well. So I think the Razorbacks will pull ahead. I'm blinded by my love for the Razorbacks, as we kind of all are sometimes. I think being very close and intimately attached to a football team probably does cloud my judgment, maybe just a little bit. But I do have the Hogs pulling away. It's fun that it'll be a nice national game to start the year off. A lot of eyeballs will be on the Razorbacks, and hopefully they can have a big win and start moving up the polls and start some momentum building, because they got a big test in week 2 again, South Carolina. Fortunately, that game is at home as well. I think that definitely helps early in the season. It's not easy they're kind of breaking in a new quarterback in their offense as well. Not easy for a new quarterback. Their first few starts on the road are tough. Like, it's just harder to communicate, harder to get all that kind of stuff in. So Razorbacks got a big start to the year. If they want to do something truly special, like kind of like we're talking about with Nebraska, like they've almost missed a window I talked about to have like an elite season, like a really great season. You got to win games like that's just kind of like Arkansas is in the same situation. Like, if you could, like, they could lose to Cincinnati or South Carolina and still have a pretty good year, win 7-8 games and still be pretty solid. But if you want to get to that next level, Like you want to make a run at the SEC West. You want to make a run to be nationally relevant. Like you got to pick up these wins. However you got to do it, you got to win these first 2 games at home, in games you're favored by. That's where we flipped the switch. Arkansas has been the underdog for so long. Like finally, we're the favorites in these next couple games. So if we can just take care of seemingly business, like if we could just win what we're supposed to win and put ourselves in position, then it'll be a pretty fun year. And Tennessee's kind of the same way. Like they'll be favored in quite a few games. Like if you go ahead and win the games you're supposed to win, you take care of business. Yeah, you're already pretty much there. And then you hopefully get a few of those underdog wins, and that's when it turns into a special season. So easier said than done. But I will be in the stands cheering it on. Really looking forward to just getting back in the dub and getting it rocking. And being back with Razorback Nation. I think that's what we all love about college football, is just the passion that exudes from, we talk about it every week, but a lot of people care about these games and are really excited to watch them and get pumped up and tailgate and go to the stadium with their friends and cheer them on and just have a good time, man. Just have a good time.
Just get out there football. And go nuts.
Sports is a great escape from, it's a escape from life and a microcosm for life, because there's a lot of kind of parallels, I believe, that you can take over that translate in sports and life. But it is a fun escape. We worked all week, everyone did their own jobs, but you know what? We put all that behind us, and now it's Saturday and we're watching the Razorbacks, or we're watching the Vols or whoever, and we're just all together, just enjoying something we love. And hopefully we can come away. We're all in it together. I think that's kind of like being a fan. You are actually in it. Something is on the line. It's like, I care about the Razorbacks. Like I'm going to hurt if we lose. And I know the person standing next to me in the stadium's feeling that same kind of pain. Like we know what we're in it for, but we know how happy we can all be if we win. So, hopefully we win more than we lose, but, the man in the arena, we're going out there and we're going to battle, and hopefully we come out victorious.
On to war, baby. I love it. How about we talk a little fantasy football, boys? Kind of talk a little pro football here. You guys want to run through our teams real quick?
Yeah, real quick. I do want to mention just a couple other games to look out for this weekend. I'm excited. I think I might tune into USC playing Rice. I think a lot of people are just interested to see what USC looks like. So I think I'll at least check in on it, as well as what was the other one I was looking at? I'm going to check in on good old Adrian Martinez at Kansas State, just see how he's doing. I do wish the best for Adrian. And then obviously the big one is Ohio State, Notre Dame. A lot of people, I understandably are picking Ohio State to win big, but I'm a fan of Freeman and Notre Dame. I think something good could happen there, and it's not like they don't have talent. So I don't know if it'll be. I don't know if it'll be close. I don't know if it'll be a blowout, but it's a top 5 matchup regardless. Each team's in the top 5, so obviously one to look out for.
I was looking at the Sunday night game down in New Orleans in the Superdome. Yep. LSU, Florida State at LSU. That is going to be a crazy game. Love seeing some Sunday night college football.
2 teams that need some momentum too.
Yeah. 2 teams that aren't like, that's a big name, but those teams aren't really anything like crazy special this year, but it will be fun to watch them compete. That's why it's fun.
And who knows, maybe one of those teams wins real big and they get some momentum going, and something sparks their season. You never know what could happen.
Could be. I think LSU will win because it's in New Orleans.
Yeah,
they have good juju in the Superdome. I think there's a lot of voodoo spirit magic going on in the New Orleans area, and Baton Rouge kind of gets swept in that. LSU's covered. Florida State ain't coming in the Superdome and winning that.
No, I agree with you on that, Seth. I think LSU is gonna run away with that one.
I think 2 mediocre teams in their respective conferences will show the dominance of the SEC over the ACC. It's like these teams are probably about the same relative in their conference, lower end of their division, except Florida State might even be higher in their division, but then LSU still will beat them. So I don't know. Maybe that. I don't know anything. I truly, every year I think I know something. Every year I get a disillusion to think that maybe I'm enlightened on like what's going to happen in college football. And time and time again, it's just so wrong. And that's why it's awesome. That is what makes it so fun. The more you think you know, you don't. You don't know.
But yeah, really, other than that, I guess we have the Monday night game, Clemson at Georgia Tech. Assuming Clemson should,
by like 40.
should give a quick beat down to Georgia
You know,
Tech.
Georgia Tech doesn't run the triple option anymore.
Yeah.
That's sad.
I know, but I still need to remind myself. So I turn it on. I'm not confused.
It was like when they were done doing it, it was the spring game when everyone knew they were done with this triple option. The first thing they did was like line up in triple option formation and then audible out of it. And I was like, that honestly, I was like, I could see if I was a Georgia Tech fan, I think that would just piss me off. I'd be like, damn it, we're not running the triple option anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are there some triple option like truthers out there that are like, we got to keep running it?
Probably. There's
Got
probably
to.
some people like, oh my God, like we're screwing this up so bad. Like we need the triple option.
Not to give like a preview for the rest of my life, but when I do become a coach, I will be reinvigorating some version of the triple option offense. I'm going to have a lot of options in my offense. I might even have the quadruple option. I'm thinking more people who can throw the ball, more people who can run the ball. I want your defense to be so confused as to where we're going. You can't stop it.
I will say in NCAA 14, I would run the triple option all the time with Nebraska when Taylor Martinez was playing quarterback. If you truly know how to run the triple option in NCAA 14, no one can stop you. It's literally impossible.
Truly know how to run it in real life and you have good players, no one can stop you.
Yeah.
Look at the Huskers in real life in the 90s.
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes we've done great things to advance the game of football, and sometimes we've almost outsmarted ourselves. And at times it's like you put great players on there and you literally just line up and run unstoppable plays into submission. Like if you have better players and you run plays with enough options to like, you still have to defend several. You don't exactly know what's coming. You just know something, you just put them in positions to win. So, speaking of great players in a position to win, I do really like my fantasy team that I have drafted here. And turns out, Will, we actually play each other week 1.
Wow.
So, yeah, I didn't
Right
know
off the
that until
bat.
I looked, I tried to pull up my roster and here we go. Team Diesel. Team Diesel.
Yeah, we're going to have to
versus
read
King
these
Henry's
off. That's
Revenge.
exciting.
But
I
yeah,
don't-
Seth, you wanna kick us off in your lineup here? Since we're
Yeah,
talking
sure.
fantasy?
I had first pick in the draft, and being as that I am a Titans fan, and being that I do believe in the King and long live the King, I went with Derrick Henry as my first pick. I wanted to send a message to the league that I believe that he is still the premier player in the league. So anyway, my quarterback is Lamar Jackson. I have a Derrick Henry and Cam Akers from the Rams as my starting running backs.
Those are good. That's a good 2 running back.
Yeah, it's a solid 2. And I actually like my third running back here is J.K. Dobbins. And I'm actually very high on him for Baltimore. And they always do have a really strong rushing attack. So if he can stay healthy, I'm pretty pumped to have him as kind of a third back. And actually, like even Melvin Gordon is my fourth back, and he is with Denver now. Never know. Maybe he can reinvigorate and have a pretty solid year there. At wide receiver, my starters here, we got CD Lamb. I'm predicting he has a pretty big year with the Cowboys. I like the way he works. And then I got Alan Lazard as one of my starters here. I am banking that one on the fact that he is now with Aaron Rodgers and he doesn't have a lot of targets. Like the Green Bay offense is like, I don't know how they constantly like don't put great weapons. They've had Devonta Adams for a while, but other than that, like they don't stop.
Lazard might be number 1 now.
He is their legitimate. So yeah, I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers' number 1 receiver. he's probably going to have a pretty good year. Like a lot of a receiver is due to his quarterback. And then some other receivers I got. Brandon Ayuk for San Fran, really strong end of the year last year. And then I took a little flyer on a couple rookie wide receivers, one being Treylon Burks. I'm a big believer. And, I think he's going to have a good year. I think he's going to end up probably being the Titans' #1 receiver when all is said and done. And so I took him pretty late there. And then I got George Pickens, who is looking strong for the Steelers. Kind of a later round guy, but I think could have a pretty good impact. You never know. Michael Gallup, I also took him for the Cowboys. I really like him a lot as a player. He is out right now, so definitely probably a reason he fell. I got him in like the last round, I think, or the 15th round. Other than that, TJ Hawkinson and Cole Kmet. How do you say that?
Cole Kmet.
Kmet. Yeah, they're my tight ends. Chargers defense and Evan McPherson kicking. He screwed me in the playoffs and broke my spirit. So in return, I picked him and put him on fantasy team. Oh, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine was my 16th pick. So I'm covered on Titans. I got 2 of the Titans' top 3 receivers. So in the one of the least pass-heavy offenses in the league, I really stockpiled. I'm gonna get rid of him. He's gonna get dropped. But actually, you know what? I might start him week 1. I think he'll have a strong week 1.
Will probably wants you to start him week 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll read off mine real quick. So it is pretty cool. These never matter, or I feel like they're always way off, but it will give you the projections, and right now I'm projected to have 118.6 points, which isn't really that great. It's fine, I guess. And Seth is projected to have 116.3 points with the matchups we have currently.
Nice.
But so it looks like I've got Josh Allen at quarterback, Joe Mixon and Elijah Mitchell as my running backs. Then I got Cortland Sutton. I'm banking on Cortland Sutton being the #1 guy as opposed to Jerry Jeudy being the guy that Russell Wilson.
Cortland Sutton's good.
Yeah. And then I got Juju Smith-Schuster, thinking he's going to do well with Mahomes.
Yeah.
Especially with Tyreek gone. I think he'll do pretty good.
He was down
George
there a little
Kittle.
later than I thought, to be honest. When I saw him, like where he was kind of slotted, I was a little surprised. Thinking he would have a pretty good year because Casey lost quite a few weapons. So, anyway.
Yeah. Well, and another thing too, I got Josh Allen. So I had the 12th pick. So obviously I had 12-1, 12-1, every other round or whatever.
That's funny. We were on the opposite. I
Yeah.
had one. Yeah.
So, and I got Josh Allen with my second pick. I mean, not that it matters. He could have been my first. It would have been essentially the same thing. But it did bother me a little bit because I don't remember. I think the next quarterback to go was Mahomes, and I can't remember. I don't think he went till the 3rd round. But the problem was, like, would I have gotten an elite? Because I wanted to get an elite quarterback, and I knew if I was going to do that, I was going to have to do that in the first couple picks. And I kept wondering to myself, if I didn't pick Josh Allen, if I would have gotten like a great running back and great receiver right away, would he still have been there? 12th pick of the 3rd round. And then I think Benny got Russell Wilson in like the 7th round. And I'm like, man.
Yeah,
really
we were not very quarterback heavy at all.
Well, last year it was different because I remember someone picked
Mahomes went round 1.
Yeah, someone picked Mahomes, so I picked Rodgers right away because I assumed people were going to start going on a little quarterback run, and we kind of did there for a second. But I digress. So I said Cortland Sutton, Juju Smith-Schuster, George Kittle, and then I got Elijah Moore from the Jets as my flex currently. Yeah, I got him actually pretty late. I thought that was a good, solid pick. And then I got Cincinnati defense, and I got Nick Folk, the kicker, but I'm switching him out with someone else. On my bench, I've got Tony Pollard. I had him on my team last year, and I like him as kind of a bench guy, good flex or running back to throw in there. I think he's going to get even more points this year. I think they're going to give him the ball more, especially in the passing situations. Derek Carr is my backup QB. Happy with that. And I got Kadarius Toney, Tyler Higbee, Van Jefferson, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Raheem Mostert. I can never say his name. Mostert. So yeah, my bench actually, I've got a few guys I feel like I'm going to be able to plug in, especially whenever certain matchups are going on. But I do not have a bunch of guys with buys on week 9, so that might be one I just have to kind of chalk up as an L. We'll see though.
I don't know. I feel like you have a lot of guys that could either be really, really good or fall off a little bit.
I know, right? Like Joe Mixon's kind of one for me.
Yeah.
Like
Or
he was
even
really
Kadarius
good last
Toney
year
too. I was like looking at him even on the bench. Elijah Mitchell.
Elijah Mitchell's another one. I'm like, I'm kind of banking on Debo not doing as well as last year. Like I think Elijah Mitchell
He said he didn't want to play that running back role anymore. He told San Fran that he didn't want to do that. So yeah, I'd lean towards Elijah Mitchell playing a little bit better.
Yeah, we'll see. I do have some ifs, and like even, I don't know. We'll see. And like George Kittle, got to make sure he stays healthy. Josh Allen, I think the reason I wanted to get a good quarterback is because, sometimes Allen or Mahomes or someone, they can score 50 points for you every now and then. And in our league, a rushing touchdown's worth 6, passing's only worth 4. And Josh Allen's the quarterback, not unlike, obviously you have Lamar and Kyler and guys like that, but guys that'll run in touchdowns for you is a big help.
Yeah, Josh Allen had 6 rushing touchdowns last year, so definitely has that threat with his legs.
Crucial, what's your team look like?
It's looking pretty damn good. I'm very happy with my team, and I'll kick things off. So I had the number 4 overall pick, and actually had McCaffrey fall all the way down to number 4, which had not really been expected in most leagues. But yeah, having McCaffrey at the number 4 spot, pretty happy with that. Ended up going Saquon Barkley with my round 2 pick. Or was it? No, I got Mark Andrews with my round 2 pick. Saquon in the 3rd, excuse me.
Saquon in the 3rd. Like, I know he hasn't really played, but that's kind of a steal in my opinion.
Yeah, Saquon in the 3rd. When I saw him still available, I was like, holy cow, I got to go Saquon here.
And I think we talked about McCaffrey and Saquon last week. Like, I think a lot of us were like, we're just not drafting McCaffrey, but it is when you have him slip, it's like, oh, do I do it? Yeah. And then Saquon in the 3rd. Yeah, take that. Like, that's a gamble I would take. 3rd round. Yeah.
I feel like I had to at that point. So I do have the 2 most notorious guys for getting injured, but in terms
maybe that's a good thing. It's like reverse psychology. It's like they've already had their injuries, so they're kind of good.
Exactly. So I think Saquon is going to have a bounce back year. And then at the receivers, I've got Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, Brandon Cooks at my number 2 spot, with Adam Thielen filling in the flex. So I feel like Brandon Cooks and Thielen are kind of interchangeable right there. And then at quarterback, I have Kyler Murray. So speaking of running the ball, Kyler Murray is going to be a big threat with his feet. So excited about that. In terms of defense, we've got Steelers and then Daniel Carlson at kicker, who is the number 1 kicker last year. I think he's going to continue on with his big leg here. Coming up on the bench, took a couple of gambles here on the bench, but I think they could pay off. First of all, Dameon Pierce coming out of Florida with the Houston Texans is probably going to be their starter. So depending on how good Houston is this year, if they end up taking a little bit of a step forward, actually having a more need for a running game, because when you're a terrible team, obviously you're going to be passing the ball a lot. So Dameon Pierce is going to be number 1. And then we have DeAndre Hopkins, who was suspended the first 6 games, but second half of the season, he could just blow up. So
why not hide him on the bench and then bring him in?
Yeah, I drafted him 100th overall. So got him pretty late there. Also taking a flyer on Brian Robinson, who is unfortunately just shot multiple
Wow.
times.
You took two guys. You took one guy who was literally got shot yesterday.
Yeah. So I'm
Bold move, buddy.
stashing away a couple of guys on the bench that I think could look. There's some
At
legends
least
that have
you know,
gotten
no
shot.
offense. I mean, I'm not trying to
Plaxico
be
Burris,
DC,
Pac-Man
but
Jones,
Gilbert Arenas.
Did you pick
Gilbert
Deshaun
Arenas,
Watson
yeah.
too?
That would be hilarious if I got Deshaun.
I
I'd
don't think
bench
anyone
is
picked
just
Deshaun
like-
Watson.
Your bench is like very much a bench. Like they are not playing until like for a good
Which I
while.
respect. I mean, most guys don't have a bye till at least 6 anyway. Like,
exactly.
you know, most people are, and everyone's healthy that you drafted. Other than that, you know, you don't. I like to play. I wouldn't have
Yeah.
done
Really?
two.
Actually,
I wouldn't have done 2 guys like that, but I do. I respect it, and it
I
is a
kind of
style.
panicked with Brian Robinson, but I'm just gonna say I meant to take that flyer.
I mean, yeah, I don't know about the guy getting shot, but that's really like, say you were to get Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins, like if you have good starters in place already, then it's like by the time, if you can just kind of do pretty well that first half of the season, then it's like second half of the season, you have a stacked team.
Mhm.
Dang.
And then so we've got a couple of guys here to
What week
round
is
out
someone
the-
going to pick up Deshaun?
I bet someone's wavered him probably already.
You think so?
So
I don't know.
he might already be on someone's team.
Well, because then you'd have to basically give up your backup, and then you're basically forfeiting.
I only drafted 1 quarterback.
Oh, okay, then you could pick him up.
Oh, so Deshaun, yeah, he's still on the waiver wire right now. Jacoby Brissett is going to be their starter,
He's terrible.
so that'll be interesting.
He's not
I do-
terrible. He's just very, very mediocre. Very under mediocre, I think.
He's a gamer though. And I've got Mike Gesicki as another tight end off the bench, Jarvis Landry and Kenny Galladay as 2 other wide receivers that could potentially have pretty good seasons, but kind of iffy there. So I honestly think I might trade one of those guys and try and get another running back, but we'll see. And then my backup quarterback is famous Jameis Winston, who could have a huge comeback year. Was putting up pretty good numbers before he got hurt with the Saints. So we'll see.
We were on a similar wavelength there, Trucial. You kept drafting guys I had my eyes on. And you got a few guys that I didn't draft, but I was like Gesicki, who was late, and I was like, I kind of like him. I wouldn't mind
Yeah,
having
he's
him.
good.
And then I picked a different guy, but I think I got too many wide receivers. Now that I actually look at my roster, I'm like, man, that seems like a lot of receivers. But
It's good trade value though.
yeah, we can work. They're pretty good ones, so we'll see.
Yeah, I need to get rid of one of these receivers for a running back, I think, especially since Brian Robinson is going to be sitting on my bench for a while.
But good thing about it too is, I mean, it develops into the season. There'll be guys play more snaps than we're even really thinking about yet. Like it happens every year. There'll be guys that step in and end up,
Exactly.
being really good points guys. So yeah, I'm excited. I mean, every year you go in, if everything plays out right and everyone stays healthy and has the best year of their careers, I think we're really set to have a great team. Unfortunately, that's not really how it typically works, but we'll see. Maybe I was a genius GM this year. Maybe not.
So what I'm reading, people are saying Brian Robinson has a chance to play this season. Yeah, Ron Rivera told reporters doctors are optimistic that he will return to play this season. So, hey, maybe he'll come in last 3 or 4 games and just rip off like 80 points. You never know.
My thing
just
is,
can't-
I don't think he's good enough to take wait
He was
around.
going to be the starter.
I just
Over
can't believe
Antonio
you picked a guy
Gibson.
who got shot yesterday. Like we're really I don't think we really emphasize that enough. Like this guy was shot multiple times yesterday.
multiple times, dude.
3
Like
times. Yeah.
he didn't just take a glancing blow, man.
I mean, if he can truck 3 bullets, he can certainly truck a defender. Like, come on.
That's a fair thought. No, I don't
If the
hate
man
that
can
thought.
just eat 3 bullets, he's going to be a good running back.
Yeah.
Like,
Dang.
Yeah, if we take a look here at the final standing projections, so overall, I'm sitting at the number 2 spot, boys, with Team Diesel sitting
What is
down
that even
at
supposed to mean? Like,
number
how do you
8.
do that?
And then let's see, yeah, King Henry sitting down at number 9. So the number 8 and 9 spots, you guys aren't looking too great so far on these final standing projections.
Yeah,
I
man.
think I was projected.
That's like when you give a team a draft grade. It's like, oh, they got a B- in this draft. Well, it turns out, they got an A+, and then all 3 guys are busts.
Yeah.
You can't project.
No, those things are never right.
I was projected, I think, like 8th, maybe 6th last year, and I ended up coming in 3rd.
I actually am historically bad at fantasy football, so
Somehow the team that wins just like last year, William, who won our league.
Yeah,
I think he
beat
got
me last second.
I think he got Jonathan Taylor kind of late, just because he was like,
third
"Hey,
or
I'll draft
fourth round.
I'll draft this rookie running back," and it ends up being a steal.
yeah, you do got to get a little lucky.
Certainly.
You got to have your top guys perform well. Like your first 4 rounds, you really need your like top 4 draft picks to be solid. Like you need them. They're obviously established guys that like you need them to have good years. They don't have to do anything crazy. And then you got to get lucky. You got to hit on, some of the next rounds. They need to overperform. You can't have guys underperforming. You can have a lot of guys that underperform. So, but it'll be fun. It'll be a fun league. I'm excited to take part in it. Hopefully that'd be a nice payday if we take it home.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
How did you
Looking forward
draft
to the
Nick?
season.
Okay, for people that play multiple leagues, do you have a similar draft strategy? Do you target some of the same guys? Like what's kind of your thoughts there?
So my
I don't
team
know.
is actually very different, which is not how I usually do it in the past, but that came from I had the number 1 overall pick in my other draft. So I ended up taking Jonathan Taylor at the 1 spot. I have a similar strategy in terms of going running back heavy first, trying to get a good tight end early. So I've got Mark Andrews and George Kittle in my 2 leagues. Jonathan Taylor, Javonte Williams, Christian McCaffrey, and Saquon. So trying to go heavy at those positions, and then filling out the receiver position, as well as having a mobile quarterback. I've got Jalen Hurts in my other league, Kyler Murray in our league. So similar style teams, but ended up looking. I had Gesicki as well in my other one, so I've got him in both leagues. And then also how you were talking about George Pickens, I took him in my other league as well. So yeah, I'm eyeing Pickens as a potential guy that could really bust out for the Steelers there.
That'd be
A lot
nice.
of fun stuff. A lot of fun stuff for this fantasy year. It's it just makes, especially I'm definitely going to be gambling on some games this season, but having fantasy to really make every game interesting because you're going to have somebody playing. It's going to be a good time. I love fantasy football.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at some of these other teams, and it's like no one's got a super stacked team that it looks like anyway. Any given week, it's gonna shake down a lot to matchups, which I love. I love when there's a lot of good strategy in fantasy football. I'm checking my lineups every day, the waiver wire, what's going on, what trades are being made.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Guys, I think we can give a quick moment of silence for Brett Kern, former Titan.
Oh yeah. Good Lord. We haven't even talked about that. Shout out to the legend.
Not too much to go into, but I would. Yeah, let's take a moment. Thank you.
The outpouring of love and support for a punter really was true, was heartfelt, was very real. He was a very good player for us for a long while. 13 years with a team in the NFL is an eternity. So while he was great for us for a long time, it also was a sign that our offense was absolute garbage for a lot of those years. Like we did watch Kern play way too much. He saw some of the dark ages of Titans football. And so we did connect with our MV punter a little bit more than some people probably would like to see their punter out in NFL games. And while he was a great Titan for us, let's hope we don't see this next punter quite as much.
Yeah, and speaking of losing seasons, I saw Taylor Lewan is now the only player on the roster to have experienced a losing season with the Titans.
Wow. And hey, I'm going to make a prediction on him. I think this is his last season with the Titans.
I could see that.
I think he's kind of washed anyway, actually. He's not washed. I have a little extra, like, I don't know why I should like him, but like Taylor Lewan bothers me a little bit. I think it's just he's really good, but he talks douchey and acts as if he's elite, a truly like elite guy. Like he's one of those really good guys who, if he just kind of went about his business and which it's fun that he has a personality. Like he is a personality that the Titans locker room, and he's a positive personality. Like it's not negative or anything really about him. It's just he talks the talk of a truly
like
Hall
Smith.
of Fame,
yeah,
a Hall of Fame level left tackle. And he's just not. Like he's good and he's had really good seasons. Like there are some seasons he was part of a really good offensive line, but he's just not quite that truly elite level. Like, I don't know.
I don't think he ever really got to the elite
yeah.
level either. He was always a good
I think
Pro Bowl level.
I think he peaked the first year in our new jerseys.
Like 2016 or 2017, maybe.
Yeah, didn't he go to a couple Pro Bowls in a row?
Yeah, he went to 3.
That is true. I mean, he is a multiple-time Pro Bowl left tackle, which is pretty legit, and he has been a good standard for our like. We need guys like that. Like we need a lot of offensive linemen. Like he's been part of the positive culture turnover in Nashville for sure. So like I don't dislike Taylor Lewan. I don't know. He just. I just can't stop seeing Chandler Jones get 6 sacks in my head.
Yeah, that
left such a lasting image on me of Taylor. Like, how are you going to go out there and compete and let that happen? Like, you just can't.
He got benched that game.
Which shout out to him for responding and having a pretty good. Like, he came back and I thought it was done then. Like
yeah, he
came back and had a pretty good year.
Yeah.
So shout out where it's due. But anyway, so I hope he has a good year now. But I just think he's getting old too. I mean, like you said, he's the longest tenured Titan now. So I mean, he's obviously been there a minute. Pretty cool that he's the last one to see a losing season. Our culture has pretty much shifted.
It's been there since 2014.
Pretty cool.
You know where I do think we're going to see Brett Kern end up though?
Buffalo.
I was going to say Indy. They don't have a punter.
Yeah, they do.
There's Buffalo.
They just signed one.
Indianapolis did?
Couple days ago, yeah.
What?
Did you not
I literally heard that from a guy at the office today. He was like, he's going to Indianapolis. They don't have a punter. And I was like, all right.
Yeah, they signed one 2 days ago, and he played like amazing in their first.
Oh, good. I don't want to see him in Indy.
I don't either. That would suck.
Pat McAfee was talking about him like crazy.
Well, good. I'm glad to be wrong.
I'll be going to Buffalo.
Rigoberto Sanchez, their really good punter, did get hurt like a week ago or something like that. But yeah, they signed Matt Hack, and he had a great game. So they're probably going to keep him.
That's a good final stop for Brett Kern. He's not really going to have to do a whole lot there, I don't think.
And he's from Buffalo.
Oh, nice. What if that's like what if this turns into some kind of Titans curse where our specialists start going to teams and winning Super Bowls?
Just like amazing.
Like Suckup did with Tampa Bay. Like he just gets a Super Bowl ring at the end of his career.
It does make sense. Like it's a positive move for the future of the franchise. And I think most people understand that. Like it's just situationally. Now, the Titans invited the situation by bringing in Stonehouse. So, like, the Titans did kind of bring that on. But it's a move for the, because you would hope. I mean, a good young punter. Yeah, hopefully they're gonna have a 13, 14-year career if they have a good, like. There's no reason to think he can't have 10 years with the Titans. And so, like, as Brett Kern's, he's nearing the end of his career, and it's been a good career. I mean, he started playing in 2009, so I mean, he's had a good long career, and he might even have 2-3 years left, but he doesn't have the whole future that this Stonehouse has. And Stonehouse did straight up win the job. Like, if he had been, they weren't just going to replace Kern to replace Kern. Stonehouse did, ball out.
Hey,
He's boom the thing, dude.
He's the all-time average or all-time NCAA leader in career punt yard average. So
See?
he's got a
it's next
freaking
level.
cannon.
Kern does not have that leg anymore.
No,
like, that is one.
Kern
is
even
one
said that, yeah, this kid, and he even said this kid is doing things that I've only seen a couple of punters in my lifetime do. So
it's just kind of like, yeah, it was
Stonehouse.
just, that's happened. This is the NFL. I mean, we like to be, being a good person and good part of the organization matters, but only up to a point. Like,
If you
we're
can't
here
perform,
to win
you
football
can't
games
perform,
not for this year and the years to come. So, and you save $2 million in cap space, which may help you along the way.
Because knowing the NFL, we're going to have guys get injured.
Yep.
And we're going to need someone to play around with, sign those free agents.
Very true. All right, guys. Well, I think that about wraps us up for this week. Guys, thanks again for listening. This has been Patriot Sports, part of the Six Pack Coverage Network. Be sure to check them out on sixpackcoverage.com, at Six Pack Coverage on Twitter and Instagram. Be sure to check us out, Patriot Sports, patriotsports.blog for the website, at Pater_sports on Twitter, at Patriot Sports on Instagram. Guys, we got a couple articles coming out this week. Hopefully, Seth wrote a little Arkansas preview that will probably be out Wednesday or Thursday of this week, so be on the lookout for that. Guys, thanks again for listening. We'll see y'all next week.
Hey, Dirt out.